Hey, everybody. Welcome to another awesome episode of the Be Smart podcast with the Beehooligans and our special guest this week, which we will introduce here in a minute. He will be our last but not least. But anyway, for a second week in a row, you guys get to tolerate the Yappy, the Yapmeister, the Yapperino, all them things to be the moderator. So I'm getting to, get my feet wet again. Last week I had just way too much fun. This week, not so much sleep, so I'm kind of, just having a little bit getting warmed up going on here. But we're going to start out this week introducing our bestest buddy in the whole wide world down there in Louisiana, the King of Queens, the Swamp Queen Master, Mr. Shall we jump in here and say hello to everybody?
Hello, everybody. Good morning. What a beautiful day today. How y'all?
Shall we? How's your weather happening down there, man? You get a bunch of that hurricane rain?
Oh, we got about 15 inches of rain, but it was spread out through the 4 or 5 days. We got high water right now, but it's pretty blue skies today, and it was yesterday. So
right.
We're going to
now,
enjoy that.
Last year, you had one of those that kind of bypassed you, went up above you, and had a bunch of that rain kind of come down in your backyard, and you had some flooding issues, man. Are you seeing any of that? Are you worried about any of that happening with this one?
No. That other one was like 35 inches of rain in 2 days, and it was like a dam breaking when that water came from north of us, and we had 3 days to prepare for it, put it to you that way. But when it got to us, it was bad.
Yeah. Well,
but no, we won't have that, in this one.
Right. All right. Well, we're going to go on to our founder and favorite pain in the butt, Mr. Sit Back, Relax, and Never Talks and Says Anything. But what about you, Big Bear? I see you on that video with that big old smile, and I can actually see your smile now. What is it? He actually shaved his beard. Yeah, he threw us all off. We thought he got hacked or something, and somebody was pretending to be him, but he finally admitted he shaved his beard. What you got going on over there in your part of the world?
Down here in South Omaha, baby. I had the bees. For some reason this year, they did not like my beard. They kept, I don't know, maybe the smell of the sweat. They keep going at my beard, and then they crawl in there, and they get stuck. And, of course, once they get stuck, they start stinging, right? That's not a good place to get stung. So after a couple of times of that, I said, I guess the rest of this summer is going to be the beardless summer. But don't worry, friends. The beard will be back as soon as it cools down. Yeah.
Well, you guys know we're not like these super awesome audio podcasters. We get out here. Look at that! How's that for timing? You gotta love it. We also have to remember
professional podcasters. We're professional apiarists.
Yeah, holy cow! But anywho. Thanks for the interruption. That was actually my wife. She's going to kill me because I've ignored her during a podcast. But
you did.
I know. I'm dead. I mean, after we've got the new little drone in the house for the last month, and she's not at her wit's end with life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Yeah, me ignoring one of her phone calls while I'm at the fire hall is for some reason against the law. But I love her, so I'll have to get back to her later. Anyway, Anthony, our resident newbie, and now get this, guys. What I was trying to say was, we try to do the best in our audio for you guys, and you hear a lot of background, you hear a lot of craziness and everything going on. Well, Anthony got a memo and a question in the background behind our inner talkings and didn't realize we were actually podcasting this morning. So he schedules a trip to go fishing with one of his buddies. So right now, in retirement mode, Anthony is actually on a boat fishing while podcasting with us, talking about bees. But I can actually see him up there on the thing now. He's got a fishing pole in his hand. Anthony, say hello to everybody now that I've given that long introduction.
All right. Well, hey, everybody. Yep, I'm fishing here. You notice I didn't say catching, just got out here, but it's a nice little lake, Omaha area. Hey, Yappy, I'm with another retired firefighter. This guy likes to run marathons. I ain't running, but he likes to run.
Really?
Simon? What's up? I know you can't see us out there, but we're going to try to get into some bass as I talk about fish and actually learn more than I talk. So I'll be quiet.
All right, here's the inquiring minds have got to know this. Do you have a waterproof floating case for your device you're using, so that way when in between all this, when you drop your phone, it doesn't go float, and then we have to listen to all that water noise for the rest of this podcast?
Oh, no. I don't even have insurance. Thanks for jinxing me, though. You know?
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Thanks for jinxing me. Yeah. But my phone's going to fall right off the transit of this boat.
All right. Well, here we go. Listen.
Really? Are you alive?
I don't know. I thought an airplane crashed in someone's house.
Yeah. People fall apart when Yappy's got the helm.
I know. Y'all trying to talk about jinxing. Y'all trying to kill me.
I think that's Shawi now.
At the end of every one of JP's videos, Yappy always gets killed like Kenny. So, yeah, I guess this is just the lead up to it. Well, listen, here's you
wanted to be on.
Huh? Oh, it was little Shawi trying to get on the podcast?
Yeah, he grabbed my earpiece cord and pulled the camera and everything down.
Life with the Beehooligans.
Yeah, really. That's why it fits in perfect. All right, here we get to the meat and potatoes. We actually got a guest on this week. We usually it's just all of us talking about a certain topic and kind of throwing our 2 cents in. We definitely like having guests on there, and those of you that are out there, we've got a Facebook page, the Be Smart Facebook page. We really want you guys to turn around and jump in there, find it, join the group, throw questions at us.
Well, we've got the Facebook page, but we also have the Facebook group. So
yeah, the group.
That's both.
Hey, just join everything, and it's free to join. At least for right now on Facebook. I don't know Facebook the way that they got everything else going. They'll probably start over with. But we want to interact with you guys. We want you guys posting your questions because we want to we're going to start putting some of these questions out here. We have already in the past, but we want to be able to put more questions out there from you guys to try to interact with you guys. And, you're welcome to turn around and tell us if you don't want your name posted in there. We won't give you any credit for it, and that's just all there is to it. But definitely want to throw out and say, hey, John Doe from Middlesworth, Nowhere Land, asked a question about something, and give you credit for coming up with a great question. So don't forget, look us up on the old Facebooker and interact with us. Now, this week we've got a special guest out of South Carolina. He was how do we say this? Not in the brain trust behind coming up with a few products that are very widely used across the board in beekeeping. He's ventured after that into the bee supply business, and he's become a very blessed man in his businesses. But you guys have all heard about the Honey-B-Gone, the Swarm Commander products, and he's actually got some bee suits coming out now. So, Mr. Entrepreneur, very good friend of mine, would like to thank him for being on the show. Scott Derrick from Blythewood, South Carolina. Scott, everybody, clap your hands together. Tony, hit that applause. And I'm going to turn around and join you on in. How you doing, Scott? Scott, unmute your radio.
You got to unmute, buddy.
Well, I thought I did. I was trying to not keep the echo down because I don't have headphones on. So, thanks, guys. Appreciate the opportunity to be with you today. It's great.
Well,
Welcome aboard.
He's a Beehooligan. He's already messing up the audio, so he's a perfect hooligan.
Honorary.
Yeah. Well,
He's one of us now.
Well, here as far as some basic stuff, Scott, what was the how'd you get into all this mess and decided that the direction of beekeeping, bee supplies, and different things? How did all that fall into place for you?
It's a good question. Well, for probably 20 years, I worked in the corporate world, selling flavor and fragrance into manufacturing. Companies like Keebler, Nabisco, Lance, Yankee Candle. So I actually started off selling flavor basically into the food industry, but I branched out and created my own company doing all that, and did that for about 20 years, just got burnt out on it and couldn't do it anymore. So needed a good hobby to get into, once I moved into a new area, South Carolina, that had some property, and decided to get into beekeeping. And after buying my first 2 hives and spending about $1,000, my wife gently reminded me that 2 was probably all that I really needed. And I told her I wanted 50. And she said, okay, where are you going to get all this money from? So basically I ended up getting into honeybee removal. I've done that now for probably about, 12 years, 13 years, I guess. Blythewood Bee Company is really how that was actually born, doing that. And then, as I got into beekeeping further, I had always noticed there were products and things like that needed to be, improved upon. Is the only thing I can really think. Working with research and development scientists down through the years, you are in that mindset of improvement. So I started seeing things in the beekeeping industry that probably had not been improved upon, and wanted to see if I could, improve upon them. I never really pulled the trigger on it, but it came to a point where I went ahead and did it. And the first one was Honey-B-Gone that I decided to go after. And the reason why I created that the way that I did is because doing honeybee removals, there were really no good products that we could use to run bees out of floor joist tunnels or keep them from going back into crevices and walls and things of that nature that you could really direct it. So I created different packaging, made the product a little bit stronger than the competition that was on the market, and put it out there. And it seemed to start getting traction, first on Bee Source, which is the beekeeping forum, and kind of grew after that. So I had a couple other ideas that were coming to fruition. One of them was Swarm Commander, and I started seeing that the cost of bees were starting to increase pretty significantly, and there were a lot of people that were getting into the beekeeping industry. And I, being a bee removal guy, realized that feral colonies were doing a lot better, in nature than they were in my own hives. So I knew that the feral colony population, was strong, and that swarms always did much better than what I was actually able to pull out of walls and things of that nature. So I thought, hey, let's, I tried the swarm lures that were out there, and they just didn't meet, my expectations. So I knew that I could do better. And so we basically took Swarm Commander into the lab. Of course, I had my contacts still at the laboratory, and we took Nasonoff into the lab, and we broke it down using gas chromatography and mass spec, and rebuilt it synthetically is what we did. Took us a while to get it right, but that's kind of where it all came from. So I just see things and see products that need to be improved upon, or we need to fill a hole, and I just go after it.
Well, I kind of, went back and what some people don't. I met Scott through JP the Bee Man. He introduced me to the Honey-B-Gone and its use in bee removals, and thought it was pretty neat. Wanted to, after he showed me how to use it effectively without actually causing more harm than good in the process. And I made friends with Scott in questionings and back and forth conversation about the product. So, we kind of went from there, and I've seen, I've been using the products for the last couple of years, and, for me personally, I like both of them. I kind of, I sit there and I see where, when folks talk about the Swarm Commander, that there's a lot of argument between, old timers and those that have been set in their ways with using just basically lemongrass oil. I've got my personal opinions on the differences in it, and we could probably, we may delve into some of that later. But as far as the product itself, I've found great success with using both. I thought it was kind of funny that when I first learned about Be-Gone, that it was a way to get rid of, get the bees out of my honey supers so I could harvest some honey, and then ended up, I use it completely different. So pretty cool deal. But how long did you say that you've been doing the beekeeping stuff? Scott, mute.
I've been beekeeping for probably, I guess about 15 years.
Yeah.
As far as probably 13, I don't know, somewhere right around there. I kind of lost count, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Well, listen, you're real big into top bar hives, though. When we first started talking, and we were really kind of sharing information with each other, you're a real big proponent on top bar hives, aren't you?
Yeah, I love top bar hives. Part of the reason being is because, after doing honeybee removals for the amount of time that I did them, I realized that about 80% of the removals that I was doing where I'm at were in between first and second floors, moving horizontally rather than, going down into a wall cavity. And, many of them jumped the wall cavity, and the wall cavity even being hollow, to go up to the, up into the floor joist tunnels. Also realizing, I also realized that, bees go up, in and up, to, the highest point that they can typically go to before they start going down. But still, there were situations where they could have gone, vertical, and they went horizontal. And, I got into doing top bar hives. I built my first one and realized how fast they build, and how many more bees they manufacture. I mean, they make a ton more bees in a top bar hive than they do, standard Langstroth, and they do it a lot faster. So I really like that. So what I did is that I decided that instead of just building my own top bar hive and doing it, without any sort of standardization, I built the top bar hive to Langstroth widths so that I could actually stack supers on top of the top bar hive. Well, I had to play around with the top bars and actually kerf out about maybe a third of an inch, quarter of an inch kerf out of the top bars so that the bees could go up into the supers. And what that does is it utilizes the amount of bees that you have in order to be able to draw the supers out well. And top bar hives suffer a little bit from the honey production from everything that I've seen. But using the Langstroth frame or Langstroths on top, you can kind of counteract that.
Well,
I wanted to say something about you mentioned something about lemongrass oil and Swarm Commander working properly or working, good. And they both do work. Lemongrass oil has two of the major components that are in Nasonex. You have geranol and citral. Those are the two major components that are in Nasonex, but it does not have all seven. And those seven is what gives you the edge with Swarm Commander. I know there have been side-by-side comparisons all over the place that have been done, and I think the majority of the people have found that Swarm Commander seems to draw more than the lemongrass oil. But I know that they both work. I just knew that the lures that were out there, the lures that were in the envelopes that you would hang up in your in your hives, just weren't working for me, and I knew that I could do better as far as actual application the application of the swarm lure in your hive to make it more successful. And I knew that it wasn't just the Geranol and the Citral. It had to be something else that would help draw it. So that's why we did what we did, to try to make the complete package. And I think we've got as close as we could possibly get at this point, without other, science, or, what have you, to be able to get that perfect combination. Part of the reason how I knew that I had the right combination, if you've ever seen the 2-ounce bottles, it has a high mist sprayer with it. Well, there were many times that I'd gone out to my hives before and tested this thing and not really seen a tremendous amount of success. But the last time, part of the reason how I knew that we had it is because I walked outside my back door and loaded the sprayer with the new product that we had manufactured. Didn't realize it, but I got some of it on my shirt. And as I walked towards my hives, I had one hive that was, a pissy hive. They were a little bit hot. And I had one that was a very friendly hive. Well, there were 3 hives actually on a hive stand. One in the middle was actually empty. I was going to load that with Swarm Commander and, try to see if I could catch a swarm, but, just to see how the bees would react to it too. But when I got out to the hives, I noticed that the hive on the right I thought that they were irritated with me, the one that was a little bit pissy. And I started having about 5 or 6 bees flying up around my face. So I thought they were kind of coming after me. So I backed up. Well, the bees were actually landing on my shirt and they were fanning Nasonoff. So I knew at that point we had it. The way that they were behaving, they were just landing on me. And that worked out really, really well. And so that kind of began it all. And, we've created the gel, we've created the super lure. I'm in the process of putting together wax blocks that are, impregnated with Swarm Commander, a couple other things, but, I got some other projects that I'm working on too at this point.
Good deal. Well, what about, Tony, you got any questions for, our special guest for the day?
Questions?
Yeah.
I want to know, Scott, do you follow the Be Smart group, the chat group on Facebook at all?
No, not really. I don't have a tremendous amount of time to do a lot of that. I mean, I get pings from people from time to time that may mention that something was being said somewhere, and I'll address it. But I really don't have a tremendous amount of time to get on the web.
Okay, well, that just means you didn't. I posted a picture. I don't know why. I bought a bottle recently because JP and Yappy and everybody been hollering at me that I need to try some different stuff than from what I was using. So I ran out of my old stuff and I said, okay, why not? So I went and bought a bottle. And while I'm actively doing, I'm actually working on a forced abscond with it. And I'm sitting there. I got it hanging from my ladder, and I had to take a picture, and I shared it on Facebook because on the bottle that I just got done using to spray, a bee lands. She's just walking all over the bottle, and I'm like, boy, I guess this couldn't be the world's best endorsement of this, is it? She's just all over it.
Oh yeah, you told me that.
So
I remember you saying that. It's like, okay, that's an endorsement.
You talking about the Honey-B-Gone?
Yeah. We just had a little bit of fun with it. I just found it entirely ironic that here's a bottle of Honey-B-Gone and this honeybee, she just wouldn't leave the bottle.
Yeah, I've seen that before too. I've actually had that happen before. I guess it's because the product is inside the bottle, not on the outside.
Yeah. That's what I say is the iron. I seen that happen. I'm like, I've got to get a picture of this. It's, she's right there, right by the label, the words Honey-B-Gone, and she's just hanging out. So
yeah,
I have to say though, I got to say that so far I've liked using it as in regards to doing like forced abscons and stuff is what I've used it for. Now the application, the way that I prefer to use it is I'll put it on a cloth, and I've got a special little smoker that I use, and I just, soak the rag, and then I just kind of, use it as a fumigation, to go up behind them. And so far that seems to work relatively well in smaller spots, like in deck columns and stuff where they won't let me take the column apart. The bigger void spaces, it doesn't seem to be as quite as effective that way. You know, you have to have more of a direct presence, I think. But in the smaller spaces, it's been pretty good.
I actually did a bee removal from a fairly big oak tree some years back, and I took a 1-inch auger and went above and below the colony, and I took a shop vac and I saturated a rag with it. Dropped that rag in the shop vac and reversed flow on it. And I actually took a piece of like 1-inch PVC piping and I tapped it into the tree and then duct taped the vac to the pipe and to really pressurize the inside of it. Yeah. And they came boiling out of there. I mean, they came out of there with no problem. So I think it's just the way that, I think it's the way you apply it and the amount of pressure that you put in there. You got to create that positive pressure sometimes on the inside, especially if it's been there for a while, if it's pretty entrenched with comb, and that vapor can't really get down there. I think if you pressurize it a little bit with that shop vac, that really helps out a tremendous amount. I know Yappy's done quite a few, and I've had quite a few people that have had some really good success with it. I know not everybody's had great success with it.
But the one that I did recently on the deck column again, I did the same thing. I drilled a little hole below where the nest was done. I have a scope that I use so I can kind of poke it. I drill a hole and I'll poke it in to try to get the top and the bottom space. I like to drive them up, or if I can't drive them, sometimes where they're coming in under a deck column, that's not the best way to get them out. So what I'll do is I'll clog up the upper entrance where they normally come out, and then I'll drill a new hole to try to force them out of there, so that I keep the towel on the top where they normally come out and force them to come out the little hole that I drill. That way they come out where it's easier to, catch them up in the vacuum. You got a nice flat, open, wide surface. And in that instance, boy, I mean, it worked like gangbusters. They were in and out, boy. And like I said, I haven't had a chance to really do a lot of the force abscons up here in Omaha, to use it that way. Most of the ones I get are just wide open cutouts. So, but I've been trying to use it just for the sake of seeing how it works as compared to some of the other stuff that I used to use. And like I said, to be honest, it seems so far to be working pretty good, in the few limited circumstances I've gotten it. Before that, I was using, come on. Yappy, what am I trying to say? Gun it.
Be quick, be go.
No.
Be done.
It's the stuff from the Brushy Mountain. They've got their own kind of brand.
Yeah.
And I was using that for one. That was actually pretty good. I had bought like 2 cases of it like a year and a half, 2 years ago, and I finally ran out of it. So I'm not going to be the guy that, if I've got some still, I'm not going to just go buy something else. I'm that cheap, yes. So I went and ran out of that, and I finally bowed to the pressure of JP and the Beehooligans and Yappy and them, and so far it's pretty good. Although I need to find a place where I can get a better deal on shipping, because you like Brushy Mountain, man, y'all kill me on that East Coast shipping.
Well, you just need to get a gallon of it. I mean, gallons I think go for about $80 or something like that. And
next time I didn't want to buy a big bottle this time, a bunch, because I wanted to see how it worked out, and for me. But if I do, I'll get a bigger. When I need to get more, I'll get a bigger container.
Yeah. Phone call away, buddy. I'm a phone call away, man.
You'll hear from me. And then you'll be like, you'll see the name pop up, and you'll be like, oh God, don't answer that.
I saw your name come up. I saw your name come through the last time. I don't do the shipping stuff, but I usually browse the list of people that order it, and your name. I saw your name come up. I saw Ken Flotham's name come up the other day too. He ordered a bottle of it.
Yeah,
which was cool.
Email from him. Anyways, so so far, I mean, that's the only product I've gotten to try to use so far of it. But I've been hearing a lot of really good things. So, and I mean, you've got the world's best endorsement team with JP and Yappy here.
They're good.
I'm almost curious, how much you're paying them, because I can get on that action too if we're breaking out Benjamin.
Hey, this ain't no kidding. This is hand on the Bible serious. I paid for my last gallon. I paid for my last gallon of Honey-B-Gone. So there ain't no behind the scenes endorsements going on there, and that's truth right there.
I'm not
Shall
complaining, Yappy. I'm just saying,
Listen. I just want people to know that there's no backdoorpaid.com advertisements having fun going on this one. I mean, I'll be honest with you. It's a product that I've used. I don't mind. It's not like that, my name's going to, endorse, a product and everybody's going to go out and buy it either way. I'm just sharing the experience of something that I found that works good for me. And, I'll continue to use it because of that.
Maybe
if I ever got to the point,
maybe you should get a label that says Yappy approved, and you
Yappy
can sell
approved.
that to people.
I can do that. I can do that. How many followers do you have now, Yappy?
7.
7?
Yes, 7.
Yeah, but just make sure you get the Yappy approved label and not the Beeciferous, because that's just going to send everything in a downward spiral.
The only problem is that 6 of those 7 are over in other countries, and I don't know. I don't know how to spell Yappy in Croatian.
I think picture
you figure that out
in front of it with holding the bottle of Honey-B-Gone. That would be awesome. That'd be fantastic.
Well, where shall we go? Shall we? You still there?
What?
You're way too far from the mic. I can't hear you, buddy.
He's ghosting in.
Yeah, he done hit
First he's making all the racket, and now we can't hear him. Make up your mind, shall we? No. I can see your little blue bar going, but I don't hear you. Barely. I mean, you're like a whisper. Okay, Annie.
Exactly. He's trying to reel the lure in. He's like, "Oh, dude, I wasn't expecting you to come to me this quick. Hang on."
Yeah, really. How we'd sound right now if we were live.
Yep. Okay, so mute's off, right? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Cool. You can hear me now. Let's see. Do you want something that I've been thinking? Okay, here's a thought I had.
Be the newbie.
Scared.
Bring your newbie out.
Okay. I went to a friend. I went to a craft show, and a friend of mine's, she paints while she's selling her art. And I had the idea. I don't know. Maybe somebody does this, and it like, especially if you're starting out and you're wanting to sell honey. Is there a convenient way to take like a frame of honey and like have it so that the people at the farmer's market can spin their own honey out of the frame into their own bottles? So they're, how people, they want their raw honey. Well, here's raw. You're spinning it yourself from the frame. And I was thinking that might be a cool little thing to do at farmer's markets or any kind of public, outdoorsy type thing. What do you guys think?
I know in the state of South Carolina, you have to have a certified honey house in order to be able to do any of that, especially when you're selling it to the general public, because there are, there are different sets of rules for cleanliness. I mean, you've got to have a stainless steel walls that can be wiped down. I mean, there's all kinds of things that are put into place that that make it more difficult for people to be able to do things like that. And I'm sure that's probably state by state, but we call it DHEC, Department of Health and Environmental Control. They're really strict on that. In fact, they're strict on the amount of the size font on your label, everything else is associated with it, all the way down to, having floor drains when you're bottling your honey. So, it's a lot that's involved in that. Like I said, you just have to check probably with your local municipalities to find out whether or not it's legal.
Now, Scott?
It'd be cool. It'd be real cool.
Oh, I think it's a flippin' awesome idea. But here's, in your situation in South Carolina, Scott, is there a difference between like the backyard guy who's going to make less than X amount of gallons of honey versus the guy who's going to produce 1,000 gallons? Or is
the guy in the backyard beekeeper can sell out of his own home about 400 gallons of honey a year, I believe is what it is. No, 400. I can't remember. I think it's around 400 gallons. I think they upped it to 400 gallons out of his own home. But if he sells it wholesale to be sold over the shelf, on the shelf, it takes on a whole different problem. It has to be at that point. It has to be a certified honey house. At that point, it can't be. You can get trouble for that.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what I'm looking at. Like more of the, like I said, the backyard hobbyist. Initially, because I think it'd be silly to jump all in and say, okay, I'm going to go and be a commercial honey producer. I'm still new to this. I haven't even overwintered bees yet. So I think start with a backyard guy.
The other thought is if you're actually, if you've ever tried to extract honey in your garage and you've got bees anywhere close by, they're going to come at you. They're coming to you. They smell that honey, and you're going to have hundreds of bees around you. There was a situation that I know that I read this somewhere. I think it was on Bee Source or somewhere where this guy was at a fair, and he was doing that. He was extracting honey for the general public so they could see it. And after they got done with the supers, they put them around back of the building where they were, and it was still where people were traversing at the fair, and the bees converged on it, and that was it. There were thousands of bees all around the place. So you'd have to make sure that you could keep the smell and all that stuff down so it wouldn't attract too many bees. But at farmers markets, there's a lot of bees anyway. If you've ever been to them. And there's fruit and stuff like that that's out. The bees come to it. That's for sure.
Hey, I got a great idea. A whole new purpose for the flow hive. You could screen it in like an observation hive. Take it with you to the table at the farmer's market. You just crack open the little frame thing, put your little hose in, and fill people's jars right there on the spot.
That's a great idea.
Ta-da!
That
Problem
sounds
solved.
cool.
Magic.
There you go.
Well, with every law, there's a way to get around it. So if that's the case, you would have to look at the bottling rules. What if I had like 25 or 35 gallon buckets with the little poured on it for bottling, and then I just turn around and let people walk up and take it out of my 5 gallon bucket and bottle it right into their own jar and put the lid on it.
Yeah, I in South Carolina, it's. I don't think they're like the Gestapo where they're sitting there ready to lock you up or anything like that. There's people that have sold honey at the farmers at flea markets around here before that was adulterated. I've seen this stuff before, so it's just there's not enough people in the state of South Carolina that are inspectors and things of that nature that can handle all this. There's no way they could, especially with the growth of beekeeping. 70% of the people who come into my store are new beekeepers. We've got probably 20, 25 people in Blythewood Beekeepers Association that just started about a year or two ago that are all brand new. They just this last year got their first set of bees. So, there's not enough people to go around to be able to do all that. Kind of like BATF, guys with stills in their house that are making moves on. There's just not enough of those guys to go around to be able to handle all that. So I'm not sure you're going to get in tremendous amount of trouble. I'll just check the laws before I decided I was going to do it.
Yeah. Well, how are we doing on time, Tony?
We got lots of time, dude. We got like 20 minutes.
Oh, good deal.
We got
good
all
deal.
that time. We can try to get Shawi to clear up here.
Yeah.
I miss Shawi. I can't hear Shawi. We're Shawi-less. What?
You hear
we
me?
can hear now.
Hello?
There he is.
Yeah.
I took the headphones off. I'm holding my phone.
Okay. Well, now we can hear you. Not now.
But
Yeah, we're like waiting for something very important to be said, and We're still waiting. Speak to us. Oh, great one.
Well, I am speaking. What you want me to speak about?
I don't know. Listen,
what do you got to tell?
Yeah.
You got the guest right here. What do you got to say to the man?
Oh, it was a nice meeting him. This is the first time I see him, not in person, but on camera. You know.
I'm honored to be in your presence.
See you. He's got this old picture, this 10-year-old picture you got put up.
I'm just honored to be in your presence, shall we?
Y'all quit. Listen, but quit. Killing me. Well, anyway.
No, that's going to be your wife later because you won't answer the phone.
Yeah, no, here, listen, let's take a break for just a second. I seriously need to ask. Anthony, have you caught a fish yet?
No, nothing but weed. I got a weed bass, and now I'm catching a lot of wind.
All right, well, go back to planning your lunch at McDonald's or something. I hope you brought a sandwich.
Casey's Pizza, man. Casey's Pizza.
That's
the
way
best
to roll, right there.
That's right.
I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to.
Listen, Tony, are you still doing your blog? That one for products and stuff that you were doing for a while?
I was trying to. I got a little bit sidetracked from that. I still intend to get back to that, but I've picked up some more. I'm a handyman as part of, besides doing the live bee removals and instructing. I also do handyman work for some local property rental people. Take care of their houses, and I got really busy this summer, so I've gotten sidetracked. But I intend to get back to doing product reviews and all that, because people. My big thing is part of Bee Smart is, we got all the folks that get out there that do the research and they talk about bees and the biology and the bee stuff directly. But I think it's really interesting for people to learn about the technical side of beekeeping, the tools and the equipment that we use and how it's supposed to be used and, those kind of things. And so that's really what I really want to try to get to have happen, is just trying to fit everything in all at one time.
Yeah.
Every time I turn around, I try to get Anthony to write up an article, and he's always going fishing.
Well, since y'all hear me, y'all still hear me?
Yes.
Yeah,
we hear you. And I'm still not writing anything.
I had a job last week, and I used Honey-B-Gone. I sprayed it in my smoker because I couldn't smoke them out. I had a tube I put down in the column to get below them, and they wouldn't come out with just the smoke. So I just took some Honey-B-Gone and sprayed it in my smoker and pumped it down below them, and they didn't take long to get out. So, it worked. That product worked pretty good.
Hey, I got a question, shall we? That is a good question for you, Scott. I know I've done pest control for a number of years. I was a licensed pest control operator, and I had to stop doing that. But it makes me wonder, talking about cross-contamination, we use different containers. You don't want to, if you're using a non-toxic product for one location, you don't want to, mix that in with a container that had a toxic product in it. Okay. Now, in a smoker situation where you're taking a soaked rag or something and you're using it to use the, to blow the fumes of the Honey-B-Gone, is there going to be any residual effect if you put it in your regular smoker? Is that going to stick a bit to the inside of the can, so that the next time you use it just to blow regular smoke, some of that Honey-B-Gone might still come out with that and cause more of a ruckus than you need to? Or should you kind of focus, if you're going to do it that way, have two different smokers, one for the fume effect and one for your regular smoker?
No, I don't think you need to change it. I think once you light that smoker off, it's going to burn off all of the chemistry that's inside of the smoker. It shouldn't be a problem. All of the raw materials that Honey-B-Gone is made from are considered what's known as GRAS, GRAS, which I believe means generally regarded as safe. They're all food grade, so it's not. I mean, I wouldn't say drink it or add it to your steak on the grill or anything like that. But it's not for that. But I had a guy one time that obviously didn't read the directions, and he sprayed it on his bees. Well, guess what? It killed them. And he calls me on the phone and says, "Hey, your stuff doesn't work. It killed my bees." I'm like, "Well, how did you use it?" And of course he told me he sprayed it directly on the bees. So guess what kind of a warning I had to put on the label? Do not spray directly on your bees. Wow. So I've had these types of things that have gone on, but no, if you're using it as a smoker, as soon as the temperature gets up over 100 some odd degrees, it's going to burn all that off, and it won't be a problem at all.
Wow, cool. Well,
man, Scott, I'm glad you said that, because I can just see Yappy trying a little Honey-B-Gone on his ramen noodles.
But Shawi, the other thing is this: I wouldn't, I would put it on a rag, is what I would do. Don't spray it directly into your, your smoker. Like if you've got something burning in there, I wouldn't do that. The stuff can be flammable. You should use it on a rag, put that rag in there and puff it if you're going to do that. I had a lady the other day, same thing. She told me she didn't have access to a smoker, and it basically came down to it. She wasn't a beekeeper. She was trying to get them out of her wall by spraying it or something like that. And she said, "I don't have the ability to have a smoker and to set it on fire." And I'm like, you don't have to do that with, maybe I just misunderstood what you said, Joey, but you just spray it on a rag and put it in there. I wouldn't put it directly on the metal or anything like that. Not that it's going to hurt it, but, just putting it on the rag, you're going to get more of a concentration of it, which is going to be a little bit better for you to do these forced abscons or whatever it is that you're going to do.
Well, I might have to tell JP, because JP taught me that little trick.
Hey, if it worked for you, man, it works. It's not, you're not going to have a problem with it. I've used it many, many times, and a lot of the honey that I take out of the removals that I do, I've never tasted, any kind of residual honey-B-Gone or anything in it at all, ever.
So basically, what you got? Shall we check this out? Okay, if you take the rag and you soak the rag, with the honey-B-Gone, and you put the rag in your smoker. Light the rag, close the smoker, and then what you got is honeybee baked. Honeybee barbecue.
Yeah. That would definitely probably do that. Now.
But I what though, it was amazing. I ran these out already with just smoke, but you get that don't want to cooperate. But when you add a little Honey-B-Gone with that smoke, they don't take no time to come out.
Yeah, I've been told that many times by different people. People do different things with different products. Some authorized, some unauthorized. I don't tell people to, what to do and what not to do. I had a lady who was in Canada that bought a bottle of Swarm Commander and told me she had an allergic reaction to it. She heard JP used it, blah, blah, blah. And she said she had an allergic reaction to it. She says she wanted to know what the chemistry was inside of it. And I'm like, well, if you've had an allergic reaction to it, stop using it immediately, return it, and I'll give you a full refund. Don't even worry about it. You don't need to use it. You don't need to know what's in it. You just need to not use it, not have any sort of an allergic reaction to it. So, I've had different situations that have come up, like the guy spraying his bees. Had a lady one time who her husband had used it and evidently put the bottle on the dresser of the bathroom sink. And I guess she thought it was hairspray or something and sprayed it on her hair and on her face. Of course it's caustic chemicals. So, it burns your scalp or whatever. You're not supposed to spray it on yourself,
That sounds like a fireman joke. That sounds like something Yappy or Andy would have done in the firehouse.
Well, here's another thing. For a little while, I was working on a product. I was trying to get Honey-B-Gone at a small percentage into a hand lotion, so that you could go into your hives without having to wear gloves, and the bees would stay away from your hands. And all I found is that pissed them off even worse and come after my hands. So what I did is I took and sprayed Swarm Commander on my gloves. And that confused the hell out of them. They didn't know what to do.
I know a fellow who used to take that same stuff that I used to use, and he decided he wanted to keep them away from his face. So what he did is he took the bill of his baseball cap and he sprayed it on his baseball cap to try to keep the bees away from his face.
Yeah.
And then he kept reporting that his eyes would tear up every time he put his hat on.
You wonder why. Yeah, and you wonder why. That's hilarious. Hey, I got another thing that I'm working on right now that I'll tell you guys about that nobody else really knows about. I started because I've had the store now for about 1 year and 4 months, and I've had people, I started a design of beekeeping suits that are ventilated that are called Cool Shield, and regular suits are called Bee Shield, and with some different features to them. Well, I found out quickly after that people who were come through my door that were trying to get a bee suit sometimes could not find the correct size regardless of what I had. And I carry bee suits all the way from extra small all the way to 10X for the big guys. And even some of those suits were not fitting properly. And there were some women that would come in that were very short, but their hips were fairly, large. And the suits that I had just wouldn't fit them. So I created, I'm getting ready to launch it. It's up on the web now. It's not, it hasn't been officially launched yet, but I got a new website called custombeesuits.com. So basically what it is that you can go in there and you can put in all your measurements that you have, and we can basically create a custom bee suit, whether it be ventilated or whether it be a regular bee suit at a pretty reasonable price. That comes fairly close to what the cost of a lot of the ventilated suits are out there now. I thought that was a pretty cool thing. So I just found another, you guys wondered how I came up with Swarm Commander and all that stuff. You find these niches that, that people need to have filled. And that's kind of one of them that I'm getting ready to launch. So pretty cool.
Robots movie. Find a need and fill it.
Yeah. I hope it does pretty well. We'll see. I think it'll do pretty well. I think there's a lot of population out there, especially with the new people. I mean, I had a guy come in that was like 6'3" the other day, and he had long arms, and none of the suits would fit his arms properly. It could fit his torso and upper body. Everything else was right. But his arms, I mean, the sleeves hit him about, mid-arm. I mean, and they're the right for everybody else, the right size for everybody else. But this guy just had really long arms. So I know that there's people out there that need it.
Sounds like the missing link, beekeeping.
Yeah, I think so.
We're in Louisiana. Shall we? You know anybody like that down there? Any swamp folks? Got them super long Sasquatch arms?
Yappy, extra large. Well, he started his diet, but he's always complaining about his jacket or whatever,
JP, the long arm bandit.
Yeah, we've been very nice because of not saying anything about him since he's not here.
I know.
You've been nice. I'm waiting for Shawi. I'm shocked. This is the first one he's really dropped.
What?
Saying anything about JP at all.
Talk bad about my buddy.
I never said you talk bad. I said you always drop some kind of special little love for him.
Well, give me nothing yet. We don't do many bees together. I'm gonna have to start working some bees with him, and then I can get some more ammo for him.
There you go. All right. Guess what, Yappy?
Is it about that time?
It's about that time.
Hey,
man, I hate that.
Oh, what's that?
Am I going to do that question?
Go ahead.
We had I had one of the members in one of the groups turn around and threw this question out, so I'm going to throw this one at you guys real quick so we can get our time frame down. The person wrote that here recently they had caught a small swarm, and after they'd caught it, they went through the box, could not find a queen. Left them sitting in there for a little while, and Even turned around and went and dropped a frame of eggs in so they could make a new queen. It seemed that the bees that they put in there and the bees that were in the box kind of fought with each other, but eventually they made 2 queen cells. So the confusion came when that was about 2 weeks ago, and in the last day or two, had a second small swarm happen, put them into another box, and could not find a queen in that one either. And it's kind of thrown him for confusion that, he's had 2 small swarms being the first thing. Second thing is that it didn't seem that either one of them had a queen in it. So my thoughts out there are I put it out there. Now you guys give me your ideas. What do you think's going on?
I think it's possible that they had a virgin queen with that little swarm, and she might have been on a mating flight, and he picked the swarm up and left with them. That happens. I did one 2 weeks ago with a little small swarm, and but they didn't have a queen. And it's possible that she was on a mating flight,
I think there's a lot of times you'll see, especially them small ones, because they're already, the small ones are a lot of times will be a secondary or even a tertiary swarm. And I think they leave with, a lot of times with those virgin queens. And many people have a hard time identifying or spotting a virgin queen because they're smaller. So maybe it's just that there was a virgin queen in there and they just didn't recognize it as a queen, And then it took, of course, a while for her to get fully mated, and then to get to laying and all that. So there's some time extra that has to go with all that. So I'm inclined to think that is just misidentification or not identifying that there was a virgin queen as part of that swarm.
I could tell you, I had about 2 months ago, a swarm moved in a floor joist. So I opened up the side and I was vacuuming the swarm. And I was just about got all the bees up in my catch box. And, it still had bees coming in. I guess they were, go and get pollen and nectar or whatever, because they built one little teardrop cone. While I was sitting on top of the ladder, the queen flew in, and I caught her in air. When she came to land, I caught her out the air, and I had her in my hand. And I guarantee you she went on her mating flight while they were building in there.
Yeah.
So,
wait, nobody's showing the flag? No one's showing the flag. Shawi, you caught this queen in midair on a ladder.
Yes, I did. And you can ask JP, because I told JP the day it happened. I called him up and told him what just happened to me.
Man, Shawi, you are the man. Nobody even doubts you. They believe that.
He is the king.
He is the man. He is the king of the queens. Go ahead.
He's the king of queens, dude. No, listen. This. I'm going to say this. I told you guys in a previous podcast. Was down there with JP and Shawi doing a bee removal at a second floor eave overhang type thing on an apartment. JP's up cutting the comb. I'm meeting him halfway up the ladder, bringing it down, framing the comb up, and looking for queens as we go. And sure enough, I come down the ladder with one of these, and I'm looking at this piece of comb for a queen, and Shawi's sitting about 5 feet from me on a bucket, just kind of hanging out and, observing, doing what he does best, and that's watching for the queen when I miss her. And dadgum, if I turn around and I started to put that frame of, or that square of comb into a frame, and he said, dude, there's your queen. Takes 2 steps, swipes the grass up, and holds up his hand. He says, I got your queen. I went, you are full of crap. There ain't no way. Opens his hand up, and there's the queen sitting right there. No, I do not question Shawi when he says he caught a queen in the air on a ladder flying in from getting lunch, for all I care.
But he does that on purpose. He keeps queens on him. He palms them like a magician with a quarter. That way he can always pull up the queen and say he got it.
Yeah.
But the question you guys asked, I had this very similar situation. Trying to figure out how to get this ringer off. I had a very similar situation happen last year where I captured a swarm. It wasn't the biggest swarm in the world. It was a standard swarm, and put it in a box. Didn't find the queen. I just put it in a box, put a frame of brood in there with her or something. I'm pretty sure I locked it in. But then came back, I guess, probably a few weeks later, looked at it, and I just saw eggs all over the place. I mean, it was, multiple eggs and cells. I said, crap, I got to lay and work her. And that's what it looked like investigating. I put the frame back down in there. I wasn't going to get queens for another 2 weeks. So I said, I'll deal with it whenever I get my new queens. So came back out there, once I got the queens, then I went to go handle it. And sure enough, it was 4 or 5 frames of, wall-to-wall brood in it. So sometimes we can confuse that kind of stuff. I know that I just had another situation happen. I've sent some photos out to Yappy and posted them on a couple forums that look exactly like looks like a laying worker, but you can tell that the eggs are down towards the center rather than up on the wall. It's just a virgin queen that's just learning how to lay and hasn't. She's shooting multiples, which should clear up pretty quickly. I'm going to check it out in another week to make sure that there's eggs in there. But it's a strange situation. You'll find multiple queens in swarms, so especially virgins in swarms. I know that I've found many in them before.
Well,
I found 5 queens in one swarm.
Yeah.
That's a
Well, I'll throw this there as kind of the little last part of thrown in with the question. I've never known a hive with a laying worker to swarm. I don't see that could be a possibility to actually happen. So I'm just going to kind of throw that out there to say, if you get a swarm, in my experience, the books are going to say that they're going to go out for their mating flight in 5 to 7 days, depending on weather, depending on conditions, depending on a lot of little bee circumstances. I have seen it take up to pushing 3 weeks for queens in rare instances to go out and get mated. So be patient, be patient with your hives when you're going out there. My recommendation, stay out of a hive. If you catch a swarm and you can't find your queen in it, stay out of that box for 2 weeks. It generally will take 3 weeks, guys. Am I wrong? To develop a laying worker with a hive that doesn't have a queen. So that being said, you are not hurting anything by staying out of a hive for 2 weeks you are just now establishing. Let them get organized. That being said, there's a chance that this guy's caught 2 queens or 2 swarms, or they've showed up without having a queen in it. But virgin queens are smaller. They're runny. They're harder to find. So for you new guys that are out here listening to this, be patient. Let them work it out, and you can fix it later. But you're risking pulling a frame out and pinching a queen and causing more damage than you are with anything. So there's a quick little extra to go with that. But I know we're running out of time, so let's get our goodbyes going. Anthony, there you go. Did you catch any fish yet?
You had one.
Yeah. I showed you guys. Yeah, I caught 1 bass, on my little purple worm.
All right.
But hey, you know what? I got a lot more good information from you guys because, when watching my 2 colonies, I was like, man, what's going on with the population? Didn't seem to be growing, and taking the advice you've given me in the past, and pretty much the same advice you gave just now, Yappy, on being patient and letting letting them get organized, let them do their thing. All seems to be looking well on my colonies. My girls seem to be working.
Well, good deal. Tony,
Hey,
any good goodbyes to you, Tony?
Oh, absolutely. First of all, I do want to say thanks to Scott for dropping in with us, bud, hanging out, putting up with our non-typical type of scenario. We don't want to be the typical kind of interview question here or there. We just want it to be a discussion and be friendly. So some people are they're used to the more standard thing, and they warm up to us after a while. So you've been a good sport, and I really appreciate you chipping in here and for the whole time. I do like your product, and I'm looking. I'll let people know, because I know some people too that could use the different size or custom sized outfits. So I'll be looking out for that. Beyond that, everybody, you know what I always got to say. As far as I'm concerned, you just need to be smart.
That's all you got to say? Be smart? I mean, seriously? Okay. Shall we? Tell us your goodbyes, buddy. We're flying low and short on fumes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Scott, it was nice talking with you, buddy. Glad you was on the show. Really, this is the first time we ever spoke.
Yeah, it is.
Wow. So, but enjoyed it, and I have some Yappy. I have some queens that need to be. Fine weather we have, and they should be flying. Cause last week they wasn't with the rain, and they were already, so they'll get their business straight. But enjoyed it.
Hey guys, email me if you would. Email me on my email, which is rsderrick@gmail.com, or from the website, and I'll send you guys a little care package.
He's so nice.
Yeah. Well, Scott, give us a .com where all these wonderful listeners can turn around and find some of your products. And
just go to blythewood-bee-company.com, BLYTHEWOOD, beecompany.com.
Good deal. Well, as always, I'm going to tell you all this just to keep things fair as far as whether you take it as an endorsement or not. I told you I made friends with Scott through, the connection with JP. Scott has become a great friend through the bee thing. I mean, I've got a lot of people that I've made friends with that I consider family. So he's one of them. Check out his products and kind of go from there. You make your own decisions.
Yeah,
good guy and good family. Yeah.
Love you, man. Thank you.
But yeah, and you just remember that the next time you send me the bill for that gallon of Honey-B-Gone. But anyway, guys, it's been a great. I appreciate it.
To be like JP, man.
He's
gonna have his favorite candy.
There you go. But I'm turning the reins over to back over to Tony next week. I will be out of town and most likely won't be here. And we're trying to set up a few people get on here. So that's about it. Next week, you guys are on your own, but I'll be back with a vengeance the week after that. And I hope you all enjoy it. I'm going to miss you. It's about there we go. There's another one down in the books. And we talked about bees, so I guess we can't argue about anything too much because, we're all beekeepers. We all agree on everything, right? There you go. All right, guys. Well, as Tony says at the end of all this, be smart!